I'm going to be honest with you guys. 95% of people watching the show today are going to dismiss what I'm talking about as just a passing fad, right? Then there'll be another 5% that actually really pay attention. They'll be able to see through the passing fad to see exactly what it is that's being created. And when they do, those that do will actually end up making long-term profits, face-melting long-term profits from this narrative. The unfortunate part is that probably only 5% of people will actually get it. And the other 95%, they're just going to brush this off. So I want to show it to you anyway, because hopefully I can take those 5% and I can change those 5% of people's lives. Let's do this. It's going to be a massive narrative, but only 5% of people are actually going to get it because the rest are just going to brush it off as a fad. And they're not going to see that this is actually an Amazon moment for crypto. We're going through an Amazon moment today for crypto. And that's really what I want to talk about today. I'm obviously going to cover all the other stuff. We can talk about the jobs numbers that actually came in. I think the jobs numbers are completely inconsequential. The August non-farm payrolls rises by 54,000. Estimated was 73,000, previous was 104,000. And I mean, a lot of people are saying, okay, well, this might stop Powell from being able to reduce rates. Powell is lowering rates in September. And now what you can see is that there's a 97.4% chance that Powell's going to be lowering rates in September. So we will touch on that on today's show. But today's show is about something that's a lot bigger. It's about a new narrative in crypto, and actually a new use case in crypto, which I think is about to explode. And I'm not really that excited about what's happening right now. I'm much more excited about the big principle, the big picture of what's going on. And I really want to show you guys what I'm seeing in the hope that you guys can place some bets now, and those bets will actually land up making a lot of money. So that's what we're going to be covering today. If you're not already subscribed, obviously you know what to do. Subscribe to our channel. Also, hit the like button, obliterate the like button. It's going to be a big show today, even though not much actually happening on the markets. In fact, if I look at the markets over here, so if I look at the markets over here, it's pretty like subdued. It's like some red, some green, two reds that or one green and one red that I actually want to talk about. The first one is if I look at pump fund. So I did go into front runners yesterday, and I did say in front runners, I've been saying this for a while, but I said, pump fund looks so strong. If it breaks this $4 billion level, then I think it's really straight up for pump fund. And that, even though the market's looking subdued and the market's going down slightly, what you can see is that pump fund actually broke this critical ICO level, the level at which they sold to original investors. And now they're starting to climb up. And you can see, even though the market's down, pump fund is just green candles and pretty much going up. So I really think that pump is maybe going up to 6 or 7 billion at the moment. The other one that's worth looking at is 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗪, because most people said that it couldn't break below the 20 cent level because that was the price which the treasury company paid for the 𝗨𝗪𝗪𝗪 tokens. Now it's gone below this level. It's now defending 18 cents or 17.91 cents. And the question is, how low will this thing go before it actually turns around? I have no doubt that at some point, it's going to turn around and do exactly what pump fund is doing. I think you're going to get pretty much the same narrative here. So we went from 40, it'll go all the way down, it'll touch probably 10 cents, and then at some point it'll turn around, and then this thing's basically going to start flying. So that's the quick market update. Otherwise, not really much going on in the market. Not really much worth talking about. The top 100 bubbles, top 200 bubbles, also not really much to talk about. But I do actually want to talk about this massive shift in the market, or this massive narrative that's actually happening in the market. As I said before, I think a lot of people are going to brush it off and not actually understand what's going on under the surface. And what is actually going on under the surface is something much bigger than what it seems at face value, right? At face value, most are going to take this trend and they're going to dismiss this trend as just about Pokemon cards or playing cards, right? And they're going to just dismiss the trend. And what they're not going to realize is that what's actually happening on chain is something way, way, way bigger. And what I'm talking about is I'm talking about the recent explosion of digitized, tokenized Pokemon trading cards happening on chain, right? And if you look at the on-chain data over here, what you can see is that in the last couple of weeks in crypto, we've had a massive, massive, massive rise in the trading of tokenized Pokemon cards, right? So these are trading card games. And effectively, that's what TCG stands for. And effectively, what we've seen in the last month is the main four marketplaces facilitated $124.5 million, a 5.5% increase from January, right? And what these guys are facilitating is they're facilitating trading in digitized trading cards. Now, when they talk about digitized trading cards, what they're talking about is they're talking about a real trading card. So it's actually a real Pokemon card, which is stored in a central location. And then they give you a token to represent that card. So you're not actually trading the physical card. The physical card kind of sits in a storage location or a safe or whatever else. And what you get is you get a token which allows you to trade a representation of this card. And that's exploded, big time, 5.5% increase from January. But I think the net number here is the more impressive number, that in August, $124.5 million of these tokenized trading cards were actually traded on the main four marketplaces. Now, a big part of this is actually around Pokemon, because I think what most people don't realize is they don't realize the strength and the size of the Pokemon machine. So, just to give an idea of how big Pokemon is the biggest media franchise, pretty much in the highest grossing media franchise in the world, believe it or not. So if you look at the highest grossing media franchises in the world, Pokemon's number one. The lifetime revenue that Pokemon has generated is $113 billion. And the number two is Mickey Mouse and Friends, which has generated $61.2 billion after it. So Pokemon is a massive, massive, massive industry. For those of you who don't know, the Pokemon company is actually a Japanese-based company. It's a big flagship company, which is one of the flagship companies in Japan. And they are a company which has been around for, if I'm not mistaken, 1996. And even today, they keep having record years. This is a recent headline. It says the Pokemon company sees another record financial year. The Japanese government released a set of financials and for the fiscal ended 28th of February 2025, which just showed how much Pokemon and the franchise was actually growing. Just to give you an idea, 1 billion downloads, 757 million global revenue, some massive numbers here. And actually, when you look at the top 5 highest grossing games worldwide, Pokemon is the 3rd highest grossing game in the world. So it's really, the fact that blockchain is starting to tap into Pokemon is big, but that's not really the big play here that I'm actually seeing. The big play here is actually something much bigger than just Pokemon. And don't get me wrong, the fact that we're doing so much volume on Pokemon is amazing, but it's much bigger than that. Because what these guys are doing is they're actually creating an entire industry. What is the industry? The industry is being able to tokenize any real world asset that lives inside a vault. So if you start thinking about what they're actually doing, is they're taking Pokemon cards, they're receiving the Pokemon cards in a centralized vault, and they're issuing a token that you can trade on the outside world to represent the asset that you have inside the vault. Now, this is not the first time in history, of course, that this has been done. We kind of know that in Fort Knox, there sits a whole lot of gold. And the truth is, the gold sits inside Fort Knox, which is a building that looks like this. And what the countries have got, or the people that have got gold inside Fort Knox, is they've kind of got a document or a token that basically says, look, you have some gold inside Fort Knox. So it's not the first time. It's not the first time that this is happening. And what I think these guys are doing is they're doing the ultimate proof of concept for a much bigger industry. It actually reminds me very much of the Amazon story, right? So when Jeff Bezos was asked about why he went into books, of all things, because when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, he knew that Amazon was going to transport a whole lot more things than actually books, right? And so the question is, when Jeff Bezos started Amazon, why did he pick books of all things? And his answer was pretty simple. He said, number one, books are very easy to transport. They're very light, they're very small, and you can transport them all around the world. The second thing is that books have a very wide selection range. And if you could get books right, you could pretty much get any other product right. Because if you think about books, there are so many different types of books from so many different types of publishers, from so many different types of authors, that if you could get books right, then you could have a proof of concept for anything. The third thing is that books aren't really urgent, and when you transport them, they don't really go off, right? So like, it's not like groceries or food, where if you fail on the delivery of groceries or food, the food will go off, or the customer will go hungry. Books are like, if you get your book today or tomorrow, it's not the end of the world. The customer is not going to go absolutely crazy. And that's why Jeff Bezos used books as a proof of concept. And once he got a proof of concept right, he basically expanded that to everything that we get today, which is what Amazon looks like today. If you look at what these guys are doing, they're doing exactly the same thing. They're doing a proof of concept. The proof of concept is, can we take something that is limited edition, non-fungible? Can we put it in a warehouse? Can we store it like in a Fort Knox type setup? And can we issue people tokens so that they can trade them on the open market? And the proof of concept that they've gone for is Pokemon. And I think it's pretty genius that these guys have actually gone with Pokemon. The reason why I think it's pretty genius that these guys have actually gone with Pokemon is because Pokemon cards are pretty small. As you can see over here, they are pretty small. They have a massive community of really, really, really obsessed fans, which are global in nature. So by housing that, and by getting Pokemon cards, by using Pokemon cards, they've already got a community. They've already got people that are looking to buy and sell these things all the time. And they've got a low volume item, which doesn't take up a lot of space. Like if you want to store 1 million Pokemons, I mean, you need like a tiny space, right? And so it's the ultimate proof of concept. And what these guys are doing is they're taking Pokemon cards, they're putting the Pokemon cards into a Fort Knox type place. And this is, by the way, a company called Collector. And their token symbol is CARD, but it's not the only one we're going to talk about today. Cards, that's it. It's Collector by Cards. It's this one over here, which is trading at about 20 cents or an $85 million market cap. And what they're doing is they are issuing a token. They are storing the cards in a place like Fort Knox. And then they have a marketplace where you can effectively trade the tokens, but effectively you can trade the tokens that represent the card anyway. So you give them your card, you send them the card, they store it in a Fort Knox type place, and then you get a token that says that you hold this NFT or this Charizard, and you start trading the Charizard. So that is what these guys are actually doing, and they're doing a real proof of concept, right? Now I want to just look at all sides of this. The first side of this is unbelievably good for Pokemon. Because if you think about Pokemon and you think about people trying to trade physical cards, they can either go onto eBay, but then they need to do eBay verification and whatever else. Or they can try and do it themselves, but that means that they're going to be sending trading cards around the world and trying to meet people around the world. Or you don't actually get the card at all. You put the card into a safe and you trade the token that actually represents the card, right? And yes, the token is redeemable. The person who has the token is redeemable for the actual card itself, but you don't need to redeem the card every time you actually go and trade it. And so this interview was done by the Thread guy yesterday and the founder of Cards, and this guy's quite impressive. He said he shows that how Pokemon themselves can benefit from the extra volume because now you're trading a token, you're not actually trading the physical card. Just listen to what he says.
How much liquidity do you think crypto and being able to trade these things digitally can unlock in the card market?
I mean, I think if you take away all of the places to eliminate value in the ecosystem, if you make marketplace and auctions more efficient, if you eliminate fraud, if you eliminate kind of like transaction settlement and all that kind of stuff, I think if this comes on chain, you could probably 3 to 4x the amount of annual kind of like transactional revenue that's happening.
So for Pokemon, this is like an amazing thing, right? Why? Because now they're getting more volume or more secondhand market trading volume on the same cards because the cards don't have to travel around the world. The cards sit in a centralized custodian. So that's the first thing. But for the blockchain itself, I think that this is an Amazon moment. It's the beginning of a new industry. And this new industry is effectively storing any non-fungible asset, any asset that is non-fungible, storing it in a centralized location and being able to trade the token that gives the right of ownership to that actual product. And it's going to start off with these cards, which is the ultimate proof of concept. Why? Because they have a big community. They sell for very expensive prices. I mean, you can see there's one here for 1.9 million, but there was one that I actually saw that was a $5 million Pokemon card, which was inside, of course, Logan Paul's record-breaking trade. You got a $5 million Pokemon card. And what you can see these guys are doing, and he actually talks about it here on the Thread Guys interview, he says, yeah, this is just a proof of concept. This is this is only Pokemon cards.
Token launch last week, and our token launch is not going to the team or dev. That's all going to buying cards. So with less than $1 million versus Courtyard's $43 million, we have been able to get around 2/3 of their level of revenues only with Pokemon cards. We haven't even launched our sports gacha or anything like that, which is going to launch in a few weeks.
So you see, they're already starting to think this is a proof of concept. This is only Pokemon cards. But then they're going to start launching all the other sports cards, sports collection, and whatever else. And that's when this market actually really, really, really starts to expand. And that's I think the part that becomes really, really, really exciting, right? So this guy says, he says, Pokemon cards and other trading card games are about to have their poly market moment. Here's why you should be paying attention. The first thing is, this is part of the real world asset narrative. And I agree. While most people talk about real world assets and they think about things like Larry Fink and tokenizing real world assets, tokenized memorabilia, tokenized playing cards, tokenized collectibles, that is just as much of a real world asset as tokenizing a stock or a bond or real estate. As he says, they've already got a multi-billion-dollar market, and yet this market operates almost exclusively in real life or inefficiently. Sellers literally ship their Charizard, Pikachu, and whatever else to buyers, sometimes graded, often not. It's inefficient. It doesn't work. There's no real oracle that tells you whether the card's in good condition, whether it's a real condition. And he says he says social auction app Whatnot, just one corner of the market, generated $3 billion in sales from Pokemon alone, right? And then he starts listing the actual platforms which are now starting to do this in crypto. And I mean, if you want to look at the platforms that are currently doing it in crypto, and I think this is a very small sample size here. There's this Crypto Collect, there's Fidgetals, there is the Courtyard one that I showed you in a second, and I'll show you a couple more in a few seconds. But ultimately, what this is it's another step in tokenizing real world assets. And you may ask yourself, well, why is this happening now? The reason why this is happening now is because it's only been recently that the SEC has basically given clarity on the fact that a token representing a collectible card is not a security. And that's given the regulatory clarity that people need in order to be able to start businesses like this. And so now, with the regulatory clarity, we're moving into a new asset class, which is called exotic RWAs. Now, exotic RWAs are non-traditional assets, often alternative real-world assets. And usually you could talk about these exotic real-world assets as like one-of-ones and collectibles and stuff like that. And it's, I think it's a big moment in the cycle, because I think once they get Pokemon right, and Pokemon, as I said, is the ultimate testing ground, a training ground, then the market starts to grow. Then it becomes coins, it becomes stamps, it becomes toys, it becomes art. In fact, I saw a list here of like a whole lot of things that could easily live in a Fort Knox type environment. And here, baseball cards. Like, you don't need to touch the baseball card physically. It can live in a Fort Knox type environment, and you can trade the NFT that represents the real asset inside the actual safe. And you can see comics is one of them, timepieces, stamps. You could say handbags as well, but collectible coins is a big one. Old currencies. There's so many things that when you start thinking about storing them in a central place and then just trading the collectibles, you start seeing how big this market might actually be here. So we're in V1 of this narrative, right? And V1 of this narrative, I think the companies are kind of going about it maybe slightly the wrong way. And why I say that is because what these companies are trying to do is they're trying to build their base using features. So for example, if you look at this collector crypt, they are like a Fort Knox, but with a marketplace. But the main feature that they keep talking about is this gacha feature, right? And the gacha machine is basically a cool feature where you can select cards, like you can get different cards, and it's like almost like not gambling. It's like what's the word I'm looking at? It's like buying and selling of individual cards, but like mystery cards and stuff like that. I think the person that actually, or the protocol that actually wins this specific game is the protocol that becomes the most reliable Fort Knox. Now, when I say the most reliable Fort Knox, if you are sending your prized possession Pokemon card or baseball card, you want to know a few things. You want to know that it's always available. You want to know that you can withdraw it at any time. You want to know that the Fort Knox where you're storing it is actually safe. You also want to know that if you want to redeem that card, you can get that card delivered to you in a couple of days, minutes, hours, whatever it is, right? And so when I looked at the players in the market, one of the things that I saw was that this company called Courtyard partnered up with this company called Brinks to safeguard assets. And so I did a little bit of research on who Brinks is. Brinks is a company well known for long-term security and logistics. It is 1859, so it has heritage, secure primary local transport services over time, and it's got armored transports and secure vaults and stuff like that. And so there is a world where these guys are storing real-world assets, and we are trading tokens to represent the real-world asset. And that's pretty much how the market plays out. Right now, in crypto, there are a couple of different ones. There's Courtyard, which is this... No, sorry, let me try and get you Courtyard. So again, these are the guys that partnered up with with Brinks. And again, they're going with a comic vending machine. They're going with a marketplace. They're going with collectibles, etc., etc. You've got a collector card, which is the one that I showed you earlier, which is this one over here. This is the one that I actually bought a little bit of at about the same price as it's trading at now, just because I don't want to actually miss this narrative. But this is the guy that was yesterday on Thread Guy, and he's quite impressive. I actually listened to him. We'll try and get him on Banter for you guys as well. We'll try and get him with you guys as well to come and explain the vision here. But he really sees the vision of buying and selling cards, taking the profits and actually burning tokens, and at the same time being a Fort Knox that actually houses these assets and starts talking about tokenized trade. This guy says, first time redeeming some of my Pokemon cards on Courtyard. From digital collectibles to physical cards in a few clicks. Highly recommend. So here you can see he's actually testing the system to make sure that the Fort Knox is actually the Fort Knox which is actually safe. There are a whole lot of others in crypto. There's 𝗙𝗍𝗙. 𝗙𝗍𝗙 is a collectible platform that offers Pokemon specific and cost-critical gachas backed by the same vault provider that Courtyard has used. So you can see that there's a lot of these that are actually starting to spring up. Now again, I'm super excited about these companies or these platforms. I'm super excited about where they are. But for me, the much more exciting thing is that we're creating a new industry in crypto. And it's an industry that I really, really, really understand. I can see how they'd have to store assets. I could see how they would have to store assets. They have to be known as the Fort Knox. They have to be able to deliver the assets, and we must just be trading the individual tokens. And that's going to start multi-billion-dollar industries on the blockchain. And so it seems like small news today, and it seems like it's all about trading cards and Pokemon. And bro, I don't do Pokemon, and that's exactly what I thought until I spent a couple more minutes actually digging into it and realized that this is a massive, massive, massive revolution for crypto and another big vertical that's actually starting to happen in crypto. Yeah, so that's the story. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're part of the 95% or the 5%. Let me know what you guys are. Also, by the way, I dropped a video on the other channel around a crypto exit plan. If you want to go and check it out, there's a link below. We'll leave a link below. Also, we are looking for more researchers, guys. I need more researchers, right? We're expanding a hell of a lot, and we're looking for more researchers. So if you are a person that is completely obsessed with crypto and you've been here for like at least since 2021, and you're obsessed with crypto content and you want to be full-time in crypto, we're not talking about people that want to be part-time in crypto. And you need to be able to work European or Singapore hours. So you can't work American hours because we make shows during these hours. Then I think there's a great opportunity for you guys to come and join our research team. If you want to do that, at the bottom of this video over here, there is a application form. Fill in the application form and don't use ChatGPT or Grok to help you with the answers, because as soon as you get the first interview, we're going to ask you questions. And if you don't know the answers, you're not going to be able to do it. So fill this in. We are looking for full-time people. We're looking to hire about 5 or 6 people. So if you are interested and you are obsessed with crypto and you've been here since at least 2021, then I recommend that you apply for that position. Also, if you want to join our Bybit World Series of Trading team, so I've just loaded up an account. You can see I put $5,000 into the account, and I'm part of the team. Join us here. Use the link here to claim the sign-up bonus, and you can just join the Banter team. And then, I mean, we've got a couple of days to actually start putting in trades. So I've loaded up an account here. I think I'm actually going to take a trade on 𝗪𝗚𝗡𝗙 because I actually think at some point this 𝗪𝗚𝗡𝗙 trade actually turns. So I think that'll be my first trade of the competition. 16.92. I wonder if it's... I'm going to take a small trade now. Isolated 10x margin. I'm going to take... So I've got $5,000. So I'm going to take 1,000. Yes. No, 10,000. And I'm going to go long. Okay, so that's my first trade in the competition. I do think that 𝗪𝗚𝗡𝗙 will slightly come down, but at some point I think that this 𝗪𝗚𝗡𝗙 thing actually turns, and then I think it's going to do like a pump fund type scenario. Anyway, let me know. Listen, let me know what you think. Let me know if you like the thesis. Let me know if you believe in the thesis. As I said, I did buy a little bit of collector cards. I mean, I don't know too much about it other than listening to the thread guy and doing a little bit of my own research. So I've taken a nibble just so I don't get FOMO. And then, yeah, the rest I'll work out. I'll keep looking for the opportunities in the sector. But I think what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring this to you so that you guys could see it, so it could be on your radar. And now the question is whether you're going to be part of the 5% or whether you're going to be part of the 95%. Momo rugged. Did they rug? Oh no. Poor community. Let's have a look here. No, I don't think it's rugged. It's still here. It's $3 million market cap. Buy the rumor, sell the news. All right, chaps, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Remember, if you haven't already watched the video on the other channel, there's a link below. Go and watch it. It's the ultimate exit plan video. And there's another video dropping here on the weekend, which is a big video. That's a big video. So if you're not already subscribed to Crypto Insider, go and subscribe. Otherwise, I'll see you guys again tomorrow. Until then, oh, you cut me off. Trade well, my friends.